This story begins in the cold lands of Winterfell, one of the 7 kingdoms of Westeros, led by the Stark family. Winterfell is located in the north, and a bit further north lies the Wall, beyond which is the far north. The Wall separates civilized men from wildlings and creatures. These creatures are often considered mere legends, but one race has been gaining significant power and multiplying over time: the White Walkers. For this summary, we'll refer to them by their original name, White Walkers. The White Walkers were created ages ago by the children of the forest. In an attempt to defend themselves, they crafted a race far more powerful than themselves. But this creation spiraled completely out of their control. For many years, the Iron Throne belonged to the Targaryen family, who had the ability to control dragons, which obeyed them. Over time, the Targaryens chose to chain their dragons, causing them to shrink in size until they were no larger than goats or dogs. Eventually, the dragons went extinct. Many years passed, and a long summer arrived. During this time, Aerys Targaryen, the second of his name, ruled. Aerys had 3 children: the eldest, Rhaegar Targaryen, the middle child, Viserys Targaryen, and the youngest, Daenerys Targaryen. Rhaegar, as the eldest, was the rightful heir to the Iron Throne after his father. He secretly married Lyanna Stark, who was betrothed to another man. They wed in Dorne, and their union produced a child. Lyanna Stark gave birth to a boy named Aegon Targaryen, though he would never use that name. A rebellion erupted because of Lyanna Stark. The news that spread was not of a romantic, last-minute marriage in Dorne, but of a kidnapping. Robert Baratheon and Ned Stark, who had grown up almost like brothers under the same mentors, fought against Aerys Targaryen, known as the Mad King. They invaded and seized the city, and with the help of Jaime Lannister, who stabbed his king in the back, they claimed the Iron Throne. Ned later found his sister Lyanna Stark on her deathbed after giving birth to her son. She begged Ned to keep the child's identity a secret, as Robert Baratheon, now the new king, could never know about the baby, who was the son of the rightful heir. If Robert discovered the heir was alive, he would surely have him killed. Thus, Ned swore to protect and keep the secret of his sister's son. From that moment, the baby, Aegon Targaryen, would be known only as Jon Snow. Ned Stark took him home and raised him as his own bastard son. Many years passed since Robert became king and Ned became the Warden of the North. The great scholars called Maesters warned that a long night was approaching, an extremely long winter that would bring even more favorable conditions for the White Walkers' power. However, the massive wall in the far north still protected humans from these dangers. The wall is inhabited by an organization whose members are often former prisoners, exiles, bandits, or people who flee there for various reasons. They are called crows because they wear black, sturdy, lightweight cloaks resembling crow feathers, capable of withstanding intense cold. Together, they form the Night's Watch. 3 members of the Night's Watch went on a patrol and encountered a White Walker. They were pursued, and 2 were killed. One managed to escape and was interrogated upon his return as he came back without his companions. In his desperation, the man fled even from the wall. He ran so far that, in his fear, he ended up near Winterfell. As Lord of the North, Ned Stark had to punish the deserter, who had sworn never to abandon the wall. The man claimed to have seen a White Walker, but no one believed him, as they had vanished long ago. After sentencing the man, on the way back, Ned Stark found a dead direwolf, which had left behind its pups. The direwolf was unusually large to be on that side of the wall, a rare occurrence. Ned decided to give each pup to his children to raise. The direwolf is also the symbol of House Stark, the Wolf of the North. Meanwhile, in the south of Westeros, Cersei, the current queen, and her brother Jaime Lannister maintain a secret relationship. An incident occurred with the king's advisor, known as the Hand of the King, who wore a brooch on his chest. His name was Jon Arryn, and he had been a mentor to Ned Stark and Robert Baratheon for many years. After his death, the king embarked on a month-long journey to the north to personally ask Ned Stark to become the new Hand of the King, his closest advisor. Viserys and Daenerys Targaryen, the last of their line, saw Viserys arrange a marriage for his sister to ally with the Dothraki barbarians. Khal Drogo, the Dothraki leader, inspected Daenerys and approved. A grand wedding feast was held, and various allies of Khal Drogo brought gifts to honor the ceremony. Among them was Jorah Mormont, a former servant of Daenerys' father, secretly working for King Robert. One gift stood out: 3 petrified dragon eggs from the distant Shadowlands, which caught Daenerys' attention. For the Dothraki, horses are sacred, and Khal Drogo gave Daenerys a white horse. Meanwhile, in the north, Ned Stark and the king held a grand banquet. The next morning they went boar hunting, a favorite pastime of King Robert. During this time, Cersei and Jaime Lannister were caught by Bran Stark, who was climbing and saw the siblings together. To protect their secret, Jaime pushed Bran from the tower. His chances of survival were slim, but the boy miraculously survived, though the fall left him permanently paralyzed. Jon Snow prepared to leave for the Wall, giving his younger sister Arya a thin, sharp, durable sword she named Needle. When Cersei learned that Bran had survived, she and Jaime sent an assassin to kill him. The assassin arrived while Bran was still unconscious. But Catelyn Stark threw herself in front of the killer, and Bran's direwolf, though still a pup, finished him off. Bran miraculously survived again. Joffrey, Cersei's son and the future king, took an interest in Sansa Stark, Ned's daughter, and invited her for a walk. During their stroll, they encountered Arya practicing swordplay with a friend. Arya, who never identified as a lady or cared for dresses, was skilled with a bow and wanted to learn the sword. Joffrey challenged her and her friend to a real fight, using his steel sword against their wooden sticks. When he cornered Arya, her direwolf, Nymeria, attacked Joffrey, biting his arm and immobilizing the prince. Knowing the consequences, Arya sent Nymeria away to avoid punishment. Instead, Sansa's direwolf was sacrificed to pay for the prince's injury. After some time, Ned, Sansa, Arya, and others traveled south to King's Landing, leaving Catelyn and Bran in Winterfell. Bran awoke but had no memory and was permanently unable to walk due to his fall. At the Wall, Jon Snow began training new recruits for the Night's Watch, his swordsmanship far surpassing the others, despite being a novice. In the Dothraki lands, Daenerys discovered she was pregnant with Khal Drogo's child and prepared a gift for her brother Viserys in a final attempt to reconcile. However, Viserys, consumed by jealousy and arrogance, saw her actions as commands, fueling his rage. He dreamed of controlling the Dothraki to fight for him, but became a nuisance to all. Catelyn found a blonde hair in the tower from which Bran fell, prompting her to secretly travel to King's Landing to meet Ned. She captured Tyrion Lannister, believing he ordered the attack on her son, and took him to her sister Lysa's castle. Meanwhile, King Robert's informants revealed Daenerys' pregnancy, and he ordered her immediate elimination. Jorah Mormont, secretly working for Robert, provided this information. Ned opposed the attack on the Targaryens, even resigning as Hand of the King over the dispute. When Catelyn arrived at Lysa's castle with Tyrion, she found her sister consumed by madness. During these events, Ned was gravely wounded in an attack. Upon waking, Robert reinstated him as Hand and urged him to recover and order Catelyn to release Tyrion. Robert then went on another boar hunt to clear his mind. During these events, Daenerys participated in an ancient Dothraki ritual, eating a horse's heart. Viserys, driven by envy, attempted to steal her dragon eggs but was stopped by Jorah. While Robert was hunting, Ned acted as regent and ordered the Lannisters hunted as enemies of the realm, enraging them. Robert was gravely injured in the hunt due to drunkenness and was rushed back to the castle. Meanwhile, Viserys stormed a Dothraki banquet, demanding his crown. Khal Drogo melted gold and poured it over Viserys' head, giving him a golden crown that melted much of his head. In his final moments, Robert signed a letter naming Ned regent until Joffrey was old enough to rule. However, Ned discovered that Robert had no true heirs. Joffrey and his siblings were Jaime Lannister's children. Despite presenting Robert's letter, Cersei tore it up and declared Joffrey king. Ned was imprisoned and Arya, realizing the danger, hid, while Sansa, confused and scared, remained in the castle. Cersei manipulated Sansa's innocence, forcing her to write to her brother Robb, asking him to swear allegiance to Joffrey and denounce Ned as a traitor. In the north, Catelyn met Robb, explaining that they needed to defeat the kingdom to save their lives and free Ned. The Starks had 18,000 men, but it might not be enough. Lord Varys kept Ned alive in the dungeon, urging him to serve Joffrey, but Ned refused, vowing never to serve a family that crippled his son, conspired against his king and injured him. Stannis Baratheon, Robert's brother, emerged as a candidate for the throne, as Robert had no legitimate heirs. Catelyn negotiated with Walder Frey, a stubborn lord, who eventually allowed the Starks and their allies to pass after demanding concessions. Meanwhile, in the north, Jon Snow witnessed the White Walker's power when a corpse reanimated and attacked him. He defeated it with fire, earning a Valyrian steel sword. Across the world, Khal Drogo was wounded in battle, and his injury became infected. Desperate, Daenerys asked a witch to use blood magic to save him, but a rebellion among the Dothraki injured her, endangering her pregnancy. Meanwhile, Robb Stark's strategic brilliance led to Jaime Lannister's capture. Ned was publicly tried, falsely confessing to treason to be sent to the wall, but Joffrey ignored all advice and ordered his execution. Ned's death sparked the legend of Joffrey, the tyrannical Lannister king. Joffrey forced Sansa to look at her father's head on a spike, warning her of the consequences of betrayal. Some believed Renly Baratheon, Robert's younger brother, should be king, causing confusion over the Iron Throne's legitimacy. Northern lords declared Robb Stark king in the north, asserting the North's independence. The Lannisters, worried about Jaime's capture and Joffrey's reckless decisions, appointed Tyrion as Hand of the King to curb Joffrey's destructive choices. Across the world, Daenerys awoke weakened, having lost her child. The witch's blood magic left Khal Drogo in a vegetative state. Daenerys prepared a funeral pyre for him, including the witch and her dragon eggs. As the fire burned, Daenerys walked into it, emerging unscathed with 3 hatched dragonlings. Awed by her strength, many Dothraki swore loyalty to her. Arya, disguised as a boy, escaped King's Landing with bandits, heading for the Wall. The Night's Watch organized a hunt for the White Walkers, and Jon Snow ventured beyond the Wall. Stannis Baratheon, guided by the priestess Melisandre, converted to the Lord of Light. Robb sent Catelyn to negotiate an alliance with Renly against the Lannisters, while Theon Greyjoy sought his father's aid in the Iron Islands. Joffrey, fearing he wasn't Robert's legitimate son, ordered all of Robert's bastards killed. In the Iron Islands, Theon found his father unwilling to help, with his sister leading the fleet. Beyond the Wall, the Night's Watch recruits met Craster, a man who offered his daughter's children to the White Walkers for peace. Sam befriended one of Craster's daughters and vowed to save her. Catelyn negotiated with Renly, who commanded 100,000 men and shared the Starks' desire to fight the Lannisters. In King's Landing, Tyrion uncovered the Queen's informant by feeding different stories to the small council, discovering Grand Maester Pycelle's betrayal. He also sent Cersei's daughter, Myrcella, to Dorne for an alliance. Arya's caravan was ambushed by royal soldiers searching for Robert's bastard, Gendry. She escaped, saving a Bravos man who would later change her life. Robb attacked a Lannister camp, defeating hundreds. Daenerys and her followers, lost in a desert, found refuge in Korth. Stannis and Renly's negotiations failed, and Melisandre birthed a shadow demon with Stannis' face to kill Renly. Catelyn and Brienne, witnesses to the act, fled to avoid blame, with Brienne swearing loyalty to Catelyn. Arya, captured, became Tywin Lannister's cupbearer. Tyrion discovered a vast stockpile of wildfire in King's Landing. Theon, feeling inferior in the Iron Islands, attempted to seize Winterfell, led by the weakened Bran Stark. Beyond the Wall, Jon Snow met Ygritte, a wildling, and spared her life, leading to an intimate moment to keep warm. In King's Landing, Joffrey's poor rule sparked a rebellion due to poverty and debt. Theon's men betrayed him, handing him over to the enemy. Arya escaped with the help of a faceless man who gave her a coin and instructions to use Valar Morghulis in Bravos. Bran and his group fled Winterfell, heading north to find Jon Snow. Daenerys reclaimed her dragons in Korth, defeating the immortal warlocks and seizing the city's riches. Jon Snow joined the wildlings to gain their trust. Daenerys visited Astapor, home of the Unsullied, elite slave soldiers. She traded a dragon for 8,000 Unsullied, but ordered the dragon to kill the slavers, freeing the soldiers who chose to follow her. Back at Craster's, a Night's Watch rebellion led to his death. Sam and Gilly escaped with her baby. Arya and her group were captured by the Brotherhood Without Banners, where Sandor Clegane defeated their leader, Beric Dondarrion, in combat. only for Beric to be resurrected by the Lord of Light. Arya, furious, fled with Sandor. Robb's men killed Lannister children under his control, enraging him. He planned to attack Casterly Rock, the Lannister stronghold. The Lannisters arranged Sansa's marriage to Tyrion to secure the north, though Tyrion, placed as Master of Coin, was set up to fail due to the kingdom's financial ruin. Cersei, initially pleased, was outraged when Tywin arranged her marriage to Loras Tyrell. Jon Snow and the wildlings planned to scale the wall, while Arya met Melisandre, who took Gendry, revealing his royal blood. Theon was tortured by Ramsay Bolton, losing his identity. Sansa and Tyrion married, but he vowed not to harm her honor. Shae, Tyrion's lover, was relegated to Sansa's servant, endangering her. Sam killed a White Walker with a dragonglass blade. Jon Snow, discovered as a traitor by the wildlings, was aided by Bran's direwolf via warging and escaped. Bran continued north, seeking the three-eyed raven. Daenerys freed 200,000 slaves in Yunkai. At a Frey wedding, Walder Frey betrayed and massacred Robb, Catelyn, and their allies, including Robb's pregnant wife, in the infamous Red Wedding. Arya, arriving too late, witnessed the carnage and fled with Sandor. Sam shared dragonglass with Bran's group. Ygritte shot Jon Snow with non-lethal arrows, and he reached the wall near death. Davos freed Gendry from Melisandre's rituals. Jaime, Brienne, and Maester Qyburn reached King's Landing, where Tywin melted Ned's Valyrian steel sword into 2 new blades. At Joffrey's wedding to Margaery Tyrell, he humiliated Tyrion and was poisoned by Olenna Tyrell, dying in agony. Sansa escaped with Littlefinger, and Tyrion was arrested for the murder. Daenerys liberated Meereen, arming slaves to overthrow their masters. Jaime trained with his left hand and sent Brienne to find Sansa with a Valyrian steel sword, Oathkeeper. At the Wall, Jon led an attack on Craster's mutineers, saving his daughters and burning the house. Bran, captured by the mutineers, escaped with Hodor's help but chose to continue north. Tommen, Joffrey's younger brother, was crowned king. Littlefinger took Sansa to the Eyrie, where Lysa, obsessed with him, tried to force Sansa to marry her son, Robin. Lysa attempted to kill Sansa, but was pushed to her death by Littlefinger. Tyrion's trial went poorly, with Shae betraying him. He demanded a trial by combat, with Oberyn Martell facing the mountain. Oberyn nearly won, but Daenerys, facing rebellion in Meereen, chained 2 dragons due to their attacks on people. Bran reached the three-eyed raven, attacked by whites but saved by the children of the forest. Brienne fought and defeated Sandor, leaving Arya alone. Jaime freed Tyrion, who killed Shae and Tywin, before fleeing to Braavos with Varys. In Braavos, Arya began training with the Faceless Men. In Meereen, Daenerys' poor leadership sparked unrest. She executed a former slave for murder, inciting a riot. Sansa was married to Ramsay Bolton, orchestrated by Littlefinger, and suffered abuse. Jon, now Lord Commander, executed dissenters, alienating his men. He proposed letting wildlings pass the wall, further enraging the Night's Watch. In King's Landing, the Faith Militant, led by the High Sparrow, gained power, arresting Loras Tyrell. Cersei empowered them, believing she could control them, but they turned on her, imprisoning her for her sins. Jon's truce with the wildlings led to his betrayal and murder by the Night's Watch. Davos rallied Jon's allies, and Melisandre resurrected Jon. Sansa reached the wall, reuniting with Jon, and they planned to retake Winterfell. Daenerys, captured by the Dothraki, burned their leaders alive, emerging unscathed and earning their loyalty. Euron Greyjoy seized the Iron Islands, while Theon and Yara fled to join Daenerys. Bran learned the children created the White Walkers, drawing the Night King's attention. His group was attacked, and Hodor sacrificed himself, holding the door due to Bran's warging, which broke his mind in the past. Benjen Stark saved Bran and Mira. Arya defied the Faceless Men, reclaiming Needle. Tommen, converted by the Faith, banned trial by combat, trapping Cersei. Daenerys returned to Meereen with her dragons and Dothraki, crushing the slavers' attack. Theon and Yara allied with her. Jon's forces, bolstered by Littlefinger's Vale army, retook Winterfell, defeating Ramsay. In King's Landing, Cersei destroyed the Great Sept with wildfire, killing the High Sparrow Margaery and others. Tommen, devastated, killed himself. Arya killed Walder Frey and his allies, avenging the Red Wedding. Jon was declared king in the north, and Bran discovered Jon's true identity as Aegon Targaryen, Daenerys' nephew. Cersei became queen, and Daenerys sailed to Westeros, allying with the Tyrells and Martells. Sam, studying at the Citadel, treated Jorah's grayscale. Jon met Daenerys at Dragonstone, forming an alliance. Euron destroyed Daenerys' fleet, and Jaime outmaneuvered her, unsullied, at Casterly Rock. Daenerys burned the Lannister army and their gold, crippling Cersei's finances. Jon captured a White to prove the White Walker's threat. Daenerys rescued him beyond the wall, losing a dragon to the Night King. Cersei agreed to a truce to fight the White Walkers, but secretly planned to betray it. Sansa and Arya executed Littlefinger for his treachery. The Night King breached the wall with his dragon. In the final season, Jon and Daenerys faced resistance in Winterfell. Sam revealed Jon's true heritage, complicating their romance. As the White Walkers attacked, Melisandre aided the defenders with fire magic. Despite heavy losses, Arya killed the Night King with a Valyrian steel dagger, destroying his army. Daenerys, envious of Jon's claim, grew tyrannical. At King's Landing, she burned the city despite its surrender, killing countless innocents. Jaime and Cersei died in the collapse, and Sandor perished fighting the Mountain. Jon killed Daenerys to stop her rampage. Drogon melted the Iron Throne and fled. Jon was imprisoned, but Bran was chosen as king, with Sansa as queen in the north. Arya sailed west, and Jon returned beyond the wall with the wildlings, reuniting with his direwolf. Westeros found peace, and the Iron Throne's cycle of conflict ended. If you enjoyed this, subscribe and activate notifications for more series and movie summaries.